Hello, beautiful beings. So I'm going to do a quick little oracle reading for the collective. I'm feeling a little bit spacey today, but sometimes when my mind is feeling spacey is actually when my intuition has a little bit more room to speak to me. So we're going to capitalize on this. I'm going to use 3 decks today. This is the Illuminated Earth Oracle deck. It's my first ever oracle deck, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The artwork in here is, I love it because it has this very feminine quality to it, where it gives you a lot of room to interpret yourself rather than just being told. So the descriptions for this deck are very, very short, and I actually don't really use the descriptions a whole lot. I just kind of go off of the feeling and the word and the symbols. And then I'm also going to be using the Earth Warriors Oracle. If you guys have seen this one, the artwork is fantastic. It is so beautiful, and everything feels very colorful in this deck and ancestral. It's a lot of like tribal wisdom, a lot of connection to our ancestors. And then lastly, I'm going to be using the Animal Spirit Guidebook, which is another one of my new ones, and it's probably my favorite deck right now. Just, yeah, connecting to the different animal spirits has been really fun for me lately. I feel like every interpretation that we look up in terms of animals is just slightly different. And so we're kind of gathering through our own experiences when we see an animal in the wild in nature versus when we read about it or we Google it, or versus when we tap into our own internal guidance. We're getting these different types of symbolism or different archetypes for us as an individual. And I find that that's really important. We're kind of in an age right now where there's so much information in the external for us to reach for that we sometimes don't reach inwards for the answers because it's just so readily available, like on Google. But what I've said time and time again on my podcast is that we have an internal Google. And the more that we sit with ourselves in patience with a little bit of extra time, because it does take time to build up that muscle of being able to tune into our inner guidance, our inner Google, the easier it is for us to tune into what these different archetypes mean to us. So what an animal or a symbol means to you in your subconscious, there's going to be an element of that that is connected to the collective unconscious. So symbols do have a collective energy to them, but we also develop our own relationships with these symbols that are encoded within our subconscious. And when we can sit with ourselves long enough to really extract that information, we're deepening and we're strengthening that relationship that we have with our inner world. And it's really quite magical, because when we develop a strong sense of what symbols, and not even just, I mean, everything is technically a symbol, right? Even colors, even like shapes, animals, any kind of archetype, these are all symbolic. They all carry a specific energy. And when we develop our relationship with that, then it gives us this added kind of like a lens that we can communicate to our universe through and with. So let's just dive in. I'm just going to ask what the listeners and what the collective needs to hear today. And if you would like to, you can go ahead and pause this, or you can take a minute to just settle in and set an intention. If there's something specific that you're wanting guidance on, if there's something specific that you are feeling unclear about, or you would like maybe the next step in your journey, you're looking for guidance on that, you can go ahead and set that intention as well. And I'm going to tune in for a moment, just set the space. So if you want to join me, you can place a hand on your heart and on your womb, or on your sacral, your lower diaphragm. And just dropping into this moment. Noticing how you feel. Noticing how your body is feeling in this moment. Is there tension? Any feelings of urgency, or this maybe feeling like you're supposed to be somewhere other than here? Just let it go. Trust. Taking a deep breath and really just allowing yourself, mind, body, and spirit to arrive in this moment with me. Feeling your grounding cord drop down into the earth. Opening your crown up to the great central sun. Feeling that divine motherly love pour in through your chakras, opening up your pillar of light. Feeling the energies of the earth mix with the energies of the cosmos throughout your being. Just breathing fully into that. Feeling how good it feels to be alive in this moment. And just setting your intention, maybe bringing it into your heart or into your womb or your third eye. And as you do that, I would like to call in my own guides, angels, galactic family, benevolent ancestors, benevolent fairy realm. I'm calling on the 4 elements: fire, water, wind, and earth, to help set this container in this space, along with the 4 directions: east, south, west, and north. And the guardians that protect these 4 directions, please set this sacred container, asking that this space be one of only the highest and purest information. May the messages that flow through this space today be ones that will support the listener in aligning with clarity, empowerment, confidence, motivation, faith, and unconditional self-love and love for others, for the highest good of all involved. So be it. So it is. So you can keep your eyes closed if you like, or you can join this space with me. So I'm just going to pick a few cards and say, Mercury retrograde is already getting to me, you guys. I'm feeling so spacey today. I apologize if my words are a bit all over the place, but regardless, the message will come through. All right. Let's see what I'm being guided to with cards. Okay. I'm going to start with the Earth Warriors deck. So holding your intention in your heart. What do the listeners need to hear today to help them find their next step? To help bring them clarity. So first we have Medicine Horse. It says, progress on the path. Okay, I feel called to read a little bit of this one. These descriptions are quite long. So we're just going to summarize, and if you want the full description, you can DM me and I can send that to you. Okay. I am Medicine Horse, bringing you the message of freedom, journey, and progress. Do not act as though you are a beast of burden. Claim your innate divine dignity. Allow yourself to feel and be graceful. Recognize and honor your needs for rest, openness, safety, and respect. An ability to hear, know, and feel spiritual truth, which will guide you in every aspect of your life journey, is opening up. Connect with your spirit, live your truth. Okay, I'm just going to scan for a second. Okay, so this also has a lot to do with animal spirits being close to you, so we can tap into the animal deck next. It's a lot about deepening of intuition and inner knowing that arises naturally. Healing of a sense of self that may have been abused is arising through your path. Time of significant healing, emotional catharsis, dramatic psychological aha moments. Basically a reshaping from within. So what I get from this, a lot of the time this is how I do my readings, is I will tap into what I'm reading, and as I'm reading I'll get more downloads, and then as I'm speaking I'll get more downloads, and then I'll get more downloads about which cards to pull. So that's kind of how it works for me. It's always a weaving process. So so this is definitely, if I can pick it up, there you go. So this is talking to me a lot about the upper chakras. But what I feel is that there's this sense of bodily strength that is the house or the stem or the foundation for these upper chakras being able to be finally kind of turned on. So I get the feeling that maybe you're somebody who has really wanted to have these higher faculties turned on, and maybe it hasn't always come at the speed at which you want. Maybe you've been trying to get certain faculties and psychic abilities to turn on, and you've really been wanting to have these kind of like magical abilities, especially with the New Age community always like preaching so much about like the Akash and turning on faculties and all these things. But what this card is talking to me about a lot about is the organic unfoldment of this on an internal level, and how it's different for every single individual soul. So what I feel from her energy is this peace that comes from this space of being strong in the body. The body is the modality, or it is the tool in which we reach these upper chakras. So you can tell from this picture that it has a lot of this purple and like bluish and indigo color, and pink as well. So this is really bringing the attention to these upper chakras, to these intuitive abilities, having this space to be turned on, but it's coming from a place of peace. It's not coming from a place of, you don't see her like reaching and trying to get to these things. It's this peace of allowance. And in that allowance, what she's cultivated through her inner strength of her body vehicle is what's allowing her to reach all of these kind of magical realms internally. So it feels to me like there's a lot of healing throughout the body that's either been taking place or is in the process of really being moved, so that this sense of strength in the body can be felt on a very innate level. Let me see if there's anything. And from that strength is how this full channel opens up. And the idea here that I feel is that there's this feeling of progressing. There's this feeling of things turning on and opening up in these higher realms. But the message that I get from this, specifically from this horse actually, is I've always been here. What you've been reaching for, what you've been trying to get to within these higher realms, it's never not been there. It's actually not something that you are creating. It just feels like a creative process because you're deepening into the body. So it's giving you the access to what was already there. So if you're somebody who's still in the process and you're feeling like you're still reaching, this is an invitation to you to give up the chase and to recognize that it's already there, but the allowance through the body vehicle is how you reach that. All right. Super congested today. All right, we're gonna pick a animal totem to go with this. You guys will never, almost rarely ever see me not wearing cheetah print. I feel like I'm always wearing cheetah print. It's so funny. It's a certain kind of energy, don't you think? It's a vibe, for sure. Okay. Oh, I just pulled this one the other day. Camel. All right. So we have the camel spirit here alongside the moon. So we have a feminine quality coming through in that. All right, again, I like to read the descriptions to give you an idea, and then I will go off of the other messages that come through. Okay, Camel. The camel can handle absolutely anything, as it carries a wealth of nourishment within. This wondrous creature is self-reliant and handles challenges with ease. Even in the face of excess heat, like judgment or anger, the camel searches inside for the cool elixir of water to calm the situation. The camel represents the ultimate form of bringing opposites into balance, fire and water, and being responsible for one's own reactions. The camel is a wonderful traveler and is especially fond of trips to faraway lands. So when in balance, calm, content, sparkle in its eye. When out of balance, dehydrated, lacks vitality. And to bring into balance, a pilgrimage. All right, let me see what comes through for me through this. Okay, so this card specifically is talking a lot about knowing yourself and being able to balance opposites, and that's what's drawing me in. What I'm feeling with this, and as it pertains to this other card. Reminder on my phone going up. So what I'm feeling from this, oh, my face is super puffy. That's cool. I'm probably dehydrated. That's what the card says. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is balancing of opposites. So let's go into this. I'm feeling that through these upper chakras turning on, a lot of this comes from, like, we think of these upper chakras, these faculties of psychic abilities and everything, as like the feminine mystery, right? This is very much the feminine womb space, the invisible realm. And that comes from, like we were talking about, this masculine element of the body, of the physicalized body vehicle. And what I feel from this balancing of opposites is not only this balancing of your masculine and feminine, but it's a balance of your internal and external worlds. It's a balance of rest and action. It's a balance of, like they said, fire and water. It's a balance of understanding yourself. And to understand yourself, it's like you go out into the world and you are exposed to all of these different energy fields, right? Every person is a quantum field. Every person is a vortex or a portal for you. So let's go into this for a second. I'm gonna pull one more card. Feel called to balance. Gotta love it. Oh, that's such a beautiful card. I hope you guys can see that. So a lot of moon energy here. But again, a lot of balance. Okay, so I had this download come through yesterday when I was at Ecstatic Dance. And I actually left in the middle of the dance to journal about this because I felt like it was really important. And now I understand why. It's because this is how my energy works, is it weaves together later on when the message comes through for somebody else. And for me, of course. So when I was at Ecstatic Dance yesterday, I had this moment where I felt into what happens at a dance like this. So we're in this small, intimate space with all of these other people, right? And we see all of these physicalized bodies, right? We see all these beautiful souls coming together to experience dance and expression and have fun together. But if you were to close your eyes and just feel into that space while you're dancing, which many people do, you have a very different experience. But you're feeling the dance between all of your atoms, electrons, and everybody else's. So as you're moving through your dance and you're moving around the dance floor, you're coming into contact with each of these different people's quantum fields. And what happens is, I oftentimes think of this through the lens of human design. Even though I don't know it super, super well, I do understand it through like the mechanics of our quantum field. So when we're in contact with another person, we have all of these centers in our body and our blueprint of how these centers are filled in. And what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, there's a really good word I'm looking for. Mercury retrograde's got my tongue. But there's these different centers in each of our fields that are filled in if you look at like a human design chart. And we pull in energy and amplify it in our open spaces. And if we have a filled in space, we are essentially putting that energy out, and other people are taking it in and amplifying it. So we don't really need to know a whole lot about that, besides the fact that our quantum fields are talking to each other. There's literally a conversation happening between us and every quantum field of every person, of every tree, every plant, everything. We're always in a conversation. We're always in a relationship with something. So when I was dancing yesterday, I was recognizing that when I closed my eyes, I could feel into how these different quantum fields were being interpreted by my energy field. So you're literally having a conversation with one person, then you move and you're having a conversation with another person, and then maybe you're in between two people and your quantum field is conversing with both of them. And the way that we experience this oftentimes when we're dancing is that certain narratives from the past, certain ideas or stories from the past, certain expressions of who we've been, certain emotions arise through our field. And this is why ecstatic dance is known to be so healing, is this is kind of like the mechanics of what's happening behind the scenes. We see ourselves having this beautiful, exciting experience with other people, but the reason that it's so healing is that it's bringing so much up because we're literally having an energetic conversation of our past, right? Our bodies are a record of our past, and also our blueprint is magnetizing or pulling lessons out of other people, and that sometimes arises through mental stories or through an emotion from the past stored in the body. And because it's brought up through dance, it can instantly be released and healed if we give it room to do so. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is that there is this balance that's being called for right now. And it's this balance between many different things, but we think of them as separate and they're not. So why I'm talking about this dance is like, there's a balance of we go out into the world, we go out into the external, we engage with all of these different energies, and we experience different programs, different past echoes of ourself that get brought to the surface by being introduced to another person's energy field, right? So it's like you go to hang out with a friend and maybe you notice while you're at lunch, you find yourself being kind of surprised at how a version of you that you haven't seen in a while is brought to the surface. And maybe it's a version that doesn't necessarily feel good. Maybe it's something that you're like, wow, I thought I healed that. What the fuck? Like whatever the narrative is. That person's energy field magnetized an aspect of you to the surface from the subconscious, because the subconscious is the body vehicle. We store everything in the body, in the waters of our body. So that person has been a gift, has magnetized that to the surface to be seen so that you can have the opportunity to do something different with this. So it's not like, oh no, I backtracked. That thing was there. It's just being brought to the surface, to your consciousness, so that you can choose to do something different with it. So there's this invitation for you right now in life to find balance between going out into the world and then coming back and reflecting, especially during this Mercury retrograde right now. This is a great time for reflection. It's a great time to maybe not necessarily don't go out into the world. Go out into the world, enjoy, let those things come to the surface, but then give yourself the time, the balance within yourself to really dive deep. That's what this time is really for, is this internal communication, right? Mercury is the planet that's all about communication. And this retrograde is all about reflecting internally on what has and has not been working for us in our lives. So there's this time of balance that's being called for that comes from our internal introspection. So maybe that's for you, balancing these masculine and feminine energies, asking yourself, how does it feel in my physical vessel right now? Asking your body, like looking at the reflection of how you've been treating your body. How does that feel? As the epitome of how we experience every single part of our life in form, your body is extremely important. Oftentimes in the spiritual community, we think so much about these higher chakras and about getting out of the body, escaping the body, traveling to other dimensions, whatever it is, because it's exciting, of course, it's different, it's new. And there's a lot of things on this planet that we sometimes feel like we want to escape. This is asking you to get really realistic about how your body feels, and yes, reflecting on how you've been doing it in the past, but also it feels like there's an invitation to say the planet has changed. The energy and the grid of this planet is an entirely new one than how it's been in the past. And so there's this encouragement to feel into what your body, almost as if you were gifted a new body right now, with where the world is at this time. We're in such a new paradigm already, and our mind and our subconscious are still linked to that past grid a little bit. So we're kind of having this weird feeling of like, I feel like my body might be asking me for something totally different. Maybe it's asking me for much lighter food, or to cut out a certain food group, or to eat at different times than I used to move my body in a different way. But there's still this mental program that says, oh, but wait, this worked in the past, so I should just keep doing this because this is what I've known to be comfortable and what I've known to work. This is saying there's something new for you in terms of health and your physical body. And from that, there's going to be this sense of internal ease, peace, allowance, acceptance, and openness to these higher faculties and higher realms by prioritizing the balance of your physical body. And that comes along with this balance of the masculine and feminine, right? The action and the rest. Right now, there is a huge call for us to not prioritize one over the other, but to become so in tune with ourselves in every now moment that we know how to balance extremes, right? This is really beautiful because the camel a lot of times symbolizes that fire element. It's like out in the desert, it can withstand these hot heats. And yet there's also this element of the feminine, of this softness, this tenderness, this like kind of more nighttime element. So we're being called to really get in touch with our natural cycles of our body, because that is how we come home to the earth. We are the earth, and the earth is going through natural cycles just like we are. But we've ignored our internal cycles for so long. So what our mind tells us has been working or was normal in the past is being asked to be let go of, because there's something new that's wanting to take its place. So Mercury retrograde is a great time to reflect on like, wow, I noticed that I was maybe having this one habit or this one pattern play out in my life, and that was very much linked to lack or linked to a matrix world that wanted to keep me away from the natural cycles of my body and of the natural world. So how can you align more with your natural cycles, balancing the feminine and the masculine, balancing action and rest, listening? And I just did a video on what it really means to listen, and some really cool ways that you can incorporate becoming a really good listener while you're out in the world being influenced by other people's magnetics and their quantum fields, because I know that it can be very distracting, especially in the age of Aquarius, where everything seems to be so fast-paced. Our minds are moving at a mile a minute, and our conversations seem to move so quickly. And when we're feeling our conversations and these dynamics between ourselves and others moving at such a rapid pace, it's even more important for us to breathe, to slow down, to find where our internal balance point is in conversation, in our rhythms with other people, in our sleep schedules, in the way that we eat, in the way that we talk, in the way that we process mentally, emotionally, physically. We're being asked to slow down and listen so that we can receive the guidance of how to recalibrate to this new grid. I feel like showing this more up close. So I hope that brought you guys something today. Definitely brought me something. It helped me just kind of clarify some of the messages that have been coming through. If you liked this, drop a comment below and let me know what it brought to you in your own specific journey. And if you have a specific type of reading you would like me to do in the future, let me know. I'm going to be doing more readings, and I try to stay away from the word sorry, but I do want to just apologize because I'm a little bit spacey today, so I'm not feeling quite as sharp, but I do feel like that was a very valuable message that came through, so I hope that supported you guys. And if you do want more readings, let me know. Any kind of content you guys are feeling inspired to do or to listen to, let me know. I feel like there's so much that I can create, but I'm a projector, so the invitation helps so much. So if there's something that you are going through in your life and you're like, wow, I would love some sort of content around this, ask. I would love to be guided in that way, to support you in whatever way I can for your individual journey. I just did a podcast on Wayshower codes for leadership, and it was all about how when we come to videos and podcasts and books now, we're being asked to operate from abundance rather than lack, meaning that we show up and it's a co-creation. It's not, here I am as this teacher guiding you. No, we're both equals and we're showing up to this space from abundance of knowing we don't need anything from one another, but that we get to dance together. So that means we get to make it creative and fun together. So if there's feedback that you guys have, if there's content that you want created that you think would be really exciting to consume, that I could have fun creating, let me know. I would love to co-create in that way with you. So that is it for today. I love you all so much and sending you so much love to your present moment. See you in the next video.